Welcome to Jane Doe's Dark Secrets, the true crime podcast where we delve into the most chilling and mysterious cases from around the world. I am your host Jane, and each week join me as we uncover the truth behind these gripping stories, explore the minds who commit these heinous acts, and seek justice for the victims. In today's episode, we will explore the 2016 BBC two-part TV series called Murder at the Station that followed the work of the Inside Justice Advisory Panel as they reinvestigated the conviction of Roger Kearney. Roger was convicted of the murder of his lover, Paula Poolton, who was found stabbed to death in the boot of her car at Swanwick train station in Hampshire in 2008. Sentenced to life imprisonment, Roger has always maintained his innocence. So is Roger Kearney a victim of a miscarriage of justice, or is he exactly where he belongs? Join me as we uncover the details of this case, examine the evidence, and seek to answer this pressing question. Before I begin, just a note to say that I will post a link to the documentary Murder at the Station, which can now be found on Netflix in the UK, so I'll put that in the description. The documentary follows the team from Inside Justice. They were established in 2010 by journalist Louise Shorter. The organisation receives applications from prisoners who claim they are innocent, and they investigate them in a bid to get the cases back to the Court of Appeal and the convictions overturned. The charity is truly unique in England and Wales as its small casework team is supported by an advisory panel of some of the country's best forensic and legal experts. A blood pattern analyst, forensic scientists specialising in DNA and fibre analysis, barristers, retired police officers, digital forensic experts, and a retired circuit judge all come together to make an impressive team with a strong track record of doing everything it takes to see a wrongful conviction made right. The advisory panel do all of this work on a pro bono basis. The team of just 3 paid staff are not short of cases to work on, as applications have risen sharply over the last few years. As Inside Justice caseworker Andy Duffin explains, when I first joined in 2017, we received 144 applications in that year. And this year, with our project's figures, we're looking around 1,020 applications, which means we're now dealing with 85 applications a month. So let's take a look into the location of where this event takes place. Southampton is a vibrant port city located on the southern coast of England. Southampton has long been a significant maritime hub with a rich history dating back to Roman times. The city is known for its medieval walls, the historic Bargate, and its role as the departure point for the Titanic. Today, Southampton is a bustling urban centre with a diverse population and a thriving cultural scene. Within Southampton, you will find Swanwick railway station. It is located in the town Park Gate, just a mile south of Swanwick. Opened in 1889, the station was originally built to serve the local strawberry industry, becoming one of the busiest stations in the country during the harvest season. Today it serves as a key transport link for the surrounding residential and industrial areas. These locations form a backdrop for the chilling events that we will be exploring in this episode. Let's focus on the victim in this case, Paula Poolton. Paula was a 40-year-old beloved daughter and wife from Titchfield in Fareham, known for her vibrant and happy-go-lucky personality. She was a steward at Southampton Football Club and was described by her parents, Philip and Jennifer Cross, as someone who enjoyed life and had a mind of her own. Paula was last seen on the evening of the 17th of October in 2008, leaving Tesco's in Basildon at around 9:40 p.m. She was driving her car and was expected to return home, but she never made it. Her family initially thought she might have gone off somewhere to cope with her grief, as she had been very upset that day after having a 15-year-old cat put down due to cancer. Her parents believed she needed some time alone to process her emotions. However, the jury were told, in the trial which we will talk about later, that Paula was prone to going on, quote, benders. The following day, Paula did not show up for work at St Mary's Stadium, and she failed to see her father on his birthday, and her family realised something was seriously wrong and raised immediate concern. On the 20th of October 2008, Paula's husband, Ricky Poolton, reported her missing. The same day, Roger Kearney, Paula's lover, sent her a text message and a joke email which her husband finds and reports to the police. The day after, the 21st of October 2008, the police speak to Roger at his home for the first time as part of their missing persons investigation. The search for Paula intensified over the following days. Police and volunteers scoured the area hoping to find any clues that would lead to her whereabouts. However, on the 28th of October 2008, the investigation took a grim turn when Paula's body was discovered in the boot of her black Peugeot car at Swanwick railway station. She had been stabbed 7 times. The discovery of Paula's body confirmed her family's worst fears and marked the beginning of a complex investigation. Paula's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Cross, were devastated by her tragic death and have spoken about the immense pain and sorrow they have endured. Paula's husband, Ricky, has also shared his heartache over her death. Despite the revelation of Paula's affair with Roger Kearney, Ricky has always expressed that he holds wonderful memories of their time together and hopes to one day forgive the affair, though he can never forgive her murderer. The ordeal has been incredibly challenging for him, especially as he was initially accused of her murder before Roger was convicted. Paula's family have been haunted by the manner of her death, with her mother experiencing nightmares about Paula's final moments. The Cross family continue to grapple with their loss and the impact it has had on their lives. The day after Paula was found in her car, Roger Kearney was arrested on suspicion of her murder on the 29th of October 2008. The 11th of December 2008, Paula's funeral was held. Paula's murder shocked the local community, which did lead to the conviction of her lover, Roger, who was sentenced to life imprisonment. So now let's move on and talk about Roger. Roger Kearney was a 57-year-old man at the time of his conviction in 2010, 2 years after Paula died. Roger was in a long-term relationship with Carol Goddard, who he lived with. Roger had been previously married and has children. He's employed as a postman at the time of his arrest, and he also held positions of a first aider, a safety steward at Southampton Football Club, and a union representative. These roles painted Roger as a helper and a community-oriented individual. Roger was also known to be a trained Samaritan, further emphasising his involvement in supportive and caring activities, which makes you wonder how we could take the life of another. Despite these positive roles, his personal life was marked by controversy due to the affair with Paula. Their relationship became a focal point in the investigation and trial, with the prosecution arguing that it provided a motive for the murder. Roger had worked with Paula when they were both stewards at Southampton Football Club, but Paula's husband and Roger's partner were unaware of the pair's affair. Their relationship started in the summer of 2008 and lasted several months until Paula's tragic death. Their relationship quickly developed, and they would often meet in secret to avoid detection by their respective partners. The circumstances of their meetings was discreet and carefully planned. They would typically meet at locations where they were unlikely to be seen by any acquaintances or family members. This included secluded areas and times when they were less likely to be noticed. During their affair, Paula and Roger communicated primarily through text messages and emails. They used these methods to arrange secret meetings and stay in touch without arousing suspicion from their respective partners. The content of their communications often included plans for their next encounter and discussions about their relationship. These communications became a crucial part of the investigation as they provided insight into the nature of the couple's relationship and the timeline of events leading up to Paula's disappearance. Prosecutor Nicholas Hagen said that Paula had told friends she wanted to leave her husband, but Roger was in fact tiring of their relationship. Mr. Hagen said on the day she disappeared, Paula told her friend Carol Bertie she had been looking to buy a house to move in with Roger and was meeting him that night. When Roger was first interviewed after the pair's text messages were discovered, Roger referred to Paula in the past tense on several occasions before her body was found, which can be very telling that he already knew she was dead. Police also found Roger lied about his whereabouts during crucial hours after Paula was last seen on CCTV at Tesco. Roger said he had left for a night shift at 10 p.m. for the 15-minute drive to work. However, CCTV footage showed he left home a whole 30 minutes prior at 9:30. He also lied about the route, saying he drove away from the spot near Swanwick railway station, where Paula was found in her car, to get to his work. However, more CCTV footage showed Roger was actually driving towards the railway station. When he got home after work that morning, he washed all of his clothing, including his fluorescent jacket. Carol Goddard, Roger's long-term partner, stood by him throughout the trial and after his conviction. Despite the hurt and anger caused by his affair with Paula, Carol remained supportive, believing in Roger's innocence. During the trial, she even testified that she was staying with Roger because she knew he was innocent despite the emotional turmoil of the affair. Carol described her reaction upon learning about the affair from the police after his arrest. She confronted him. She asked if he had killed Paula. However, Roger denied the accusation, swearing on his children's lives that he was innocent. Carol expressed her disappointment and hurt, but emphasized her belief in his innocence and her commitment to supporting him. He said on his children's lives he never killed her, and I believed him. I'm still disappointed, hurt, all of the emotions you can imagine, but I love him. Everybody makes mistakes. We are all human. I am supporting him, yes, because he is innocent, she added. She also added there was nothing odd about his behaviour in the days Paula was missing. When asked what time she remembers Roger leaving for work on the 17th of October 2008, the night Paula disappeared, Carol insisted it was sometime after 10 p.m. She said it must have been after 10 p.m. because we watched Little Britain. That finished at 10 p.m. He went upstairs, collected what he was going to eat, his glasses, ID, put his boots on that were in the garage. We may have had a conversation. I can't be specific on the exact time he left, but I know it was after 10 p.m. Under cross-examination, she said she was 100% sure that she watched Little Britain with Roger that night. Once again, it was the prosecution's case that Roger left home early that night at 9:30 p.m. as CCTV footage showed him leaving home at 9:31 p.m, giving him enough time to kill Paula before clocking in at work at the Royal Mail Depot in Eastleigh. Inside Justice launched legal action to challenge the police's refusal to hand over that CCTV material. Why do you think the police wouldn't give Inside Justice that footage? The jury also heard from Roger's youngest daughter, Louisa, who said she was shocked to find out her dad had cheated on Carol. When asked why she was in court, Louisa, who was 31 from Netley in Southampton, said, I want to support my dad and I know there is no way he would have done such a thing. Roger's employers, Royal Mail, sacked him from his job as a van driver in January 2010 because they said he had committed gross misconduct. Roger had claimed at the Reading Employment Tribunal hearing in December he had over £8,000 in lost earnings from the January dismissal date until he was convicted in June. The tribunal was dismissed and Royal Mail welcomed the tribunal's decision not to back Roger. A spokeswoman said, "Royal Mail is pleased that the tribunal has ruled against Mr. Kearney. We always felt that we had followed the correct employment procedures and did what was right. We could not understand why this action was brought." In a statement to the tribunal, Roger said, "I believe Royal Mail decided that I was guilty of the crime and wanted to get rid of me as soon as possible. If Royal Mail felt that they could no longer trust me, they must have believed the allegations against me were true, and after 34 years of loyal service, a clear conduct record and no previous convictions, I am extremely disappointed that they came to this conclusion, and it had no effect on my ability to perform my job, and it is a clear breach of human rights. Anyone can be accused of a crime at any time, and it should follow that they are presumed innocent until found guilty. I accept that after my conviction on the 11th of June 2010, I would have no longer been able to fulfill my duties." The hearing heard Royal Mail's grounds for dismissal were: Roger had been charged in June of 2009 with murder, press coverage, and that he'd failed to adhere to standards expected of employees. The mail centre manager, Keith Finch, told the hearing he'd sacked Roger because he felt there would be a risk to the public because of the murder of Paula was particularly violent. He was also on bail and unable to enter Hampshire, and he worked at Southampton Mail Centre in Hampshire. Mr. Finch said it was not a realistic option to allow Roger to be suspended and stay at home when at the time there was no trial date and Royal Mail was struggling financially. During the documentary of Murder at the Station, you can hear the voice of Roger on the phone from prison. He's protesting his innocence while claiming Paula had a bit of a dark side, in the form of a secret second boyfriend. But the friend could not recall the secret boyfriend's name. Convenient. So let's look at the evidence that was found at the scene. When Paula's body was discovered in the boot of her car at Swanwick railway station on the 28th of October 2008, the crime scene presented several pieces of key evidence. However, the handling and preservation of this evidence has been subjected to controversy. Initially, forensic teams collected various items from the scene, including a carrier bag with bloody fingerprints believed to be from the killer. Additionally, fibre evidence was gathered which could have potentially contained DNA from the perpetrator. Despite these efforts, significant challenges arose during the investigation, and over time it was revealed that Hampshire Constabulary had destroyed key forensic evidence, including the tapes to collect the fibres and the carrier bag with the bloody fingerprints. This destruction of evidence has raised serious concerns and has been a focal point in those advocating for Roger's innocence. The conviction of Roger for the murder of Paula was based on several strands of circumstantial evidence, as there was no direct forensic evidence linking him to the crime. So now I'm going to lay out the 4 key pieces of the circumstantial evidence presented during the trial. Number 1 was the CCTV footage. As I've said before, the prosecution relied on the CCTV footage to establish a timeline of events. The footage showed a vehicle believed to be Roger's near the scene around the time of Paula's disappearance. Although the vehicle's registration number was not visible, the prosecution argued that the car's movements matched Roger's known whereabouts. Key piece number 2, mobile phone records. Paula's mobile phone records indicated that her phone stopped responding to calls and texts around 10:26 p.m. on the night she disappeared. The timing was used to support the prosecution's theory that Roger had the opportunity to commit the crime. Number 3, relationship with the victim. Roger's affair with Paula was a significant factor in the case. The prosecution suggested that the relationship provided a motive for murder, as Roger might have feared the affair was going to be exposed. And then lastly, number 4, behavioural evidence. The prosecution highlighted Roger's behaviour following Paula's disappearance, including lack of concern for her and his inconsistent statements to the police. These actions were presented as indicative of guilt. The jury's response to the circumstantial evidence presented in the trial for Roger was ultimately decisive. After deliberating for 12 hours, the jury unanimously found Roger guilty of the murder of Paula. The prosecution's case, which heavily relied on the circumstantial evidence as described, convinced the jury beyond a reasonable doubt. Despite the lack of direct forensic evidence linking Roger, the jury was persuaded by the prosecution's argument that Roger had both the motive and the opportunity to commit the murder. The defence's attempts to cast doubt on the evidence and suggest alternative suspects were not enough to sway the jury's decision. At the Royal Courts of Justice in London, Roger Kearney, who was 57 at the time of Salisbury Green, was jailed for life and ordered to serve a minimum of 15 years. In court, Mr. Justice Silber said he was satisfied that Kearney of Panswick Close, Salisbury Green, had made the decision to kill Paula hours before they met in Duncan Road, following a heated telephone call in which he told her he couldn't see her the following week. Mr. Justice said, "I am satisfied Paula Poolton was quite angry to hear this, and it seems entirely likely that she threatened that she would destroy your relationship with Carol Goddard. I am satisfied you were determined not to give up on this comfortable lifestyle." The court also heard a movement statement for Paula's parents, Philip and Jenny Cross, who spoke about how they are haunted by the manner in which their 40-year-old daughter died, leaving Mrs. Cross with continuing nightmares about Paula's dying moments. The statement read out on behalf of Mr. Cross read, "Never a day goes by where Jenny and I don't think about what has happened. It's just always on our minds. Jenny suffers terrible nightmares. She wondered whether Paula was calling out for her when she died." After the sentencing of Roger, husband of Paula, Ricky Poolton, told of the hell he had been through since his wife's death 19 months prior. The whole 19 months has been hell, first being accused of Paula's murder. Then one of the things that hurts me the most was the defence saying I had the motive to kill her. Justice has been done for Paula. I've got some wonderful memories of Paula, the good times we had far way out the bad. In time, I will forgive the affair, but I will never forgive him. Speaking from prison via Inside Justice, Roger told Hello Magazine, "I did not kill Paula. I want the truth to come out. I am hoping the CCRC do everything within their power to help me prove my innocence. I pray the CCRC will commission the new forensic work Inside Justice has identified and pursue the CCTV, which is paramount as Hampshire Constabulary have destroyed or lost other opportunities. I am extremely grateful for the work that Inside Justice has done and continues to do, and the loving support from my family." Louisa, Roger's daughter, added, "My father is not a killer. He was a first aider, a safety steward, and a union rep, a helper. He is now a trained Samaritan. I have never believed he is capable of killing Paula. Dad has missed out on so much, and I shall not give up. The police have gone against all procedures and destroyed vital evidence, yet no one is asking why, and even worse, no one is being held accountable. I want people to start asking questions, and more than anything, I want my dad home. The real killer is still out there." Campaigners from Inside Justice have worked towards his release, citing that no forensic evidence was found at the scene linking to Roger, and looking at how the police lost, destroyed, and contaminated evidence, including Paula's clothing, going against statutory guidance. They also claim that some people close to Paula have since suggested that she was in a relationship with another man close to the time of her death. In 2020, they submitted a new application to the Criminal Cases Review Commission, or CCRC, as Roger mentioned earlier, and they are still waiting for an update on their work. Louise Shorter, the founder of Inside Justice, stated, "Roger Kearney was devastated when told that Hampshire Constabulary had lost and destroyed exhibits which they have a duty to keep in storage till he was released from prison. On Roger's behalf, we lodged a formal complaint through the Independent Office for Police Conduct but we were told they would do nothing because of the unlawful destruction of exhibits had taken place more than 12 months before. A bizarre policy which severely undermines their authority. More than 3 years later, we still don't know what work the Criminal Cases Review Commission has done, despite us providing new forensic opportunities and raising serious concerns which have come to us via members of the public following the broadcast of Murder at the Station. Roger had an affair with Paula at the time of her death, having met her when they worked together as stewards. Despite the bid to prove his innocence, Paula's parents haven't changed their minds that he is the man who killed their daughter. Telling the News Portsmouth, he's not innocent, 12 jurors all agreed he was guilty. In response to the documentary by Inside Justice, a Hampshire police spokesperson said in a statement, Hampshire Constabulary has cooperated fully with the Criminal Cases Review Commission, CCRC, and all records relating to our investigation into the murder of Paula Poolton have been shared with them upon request. We have confirmed to the CCRC that some forensic exhibits have been disposed of since Roger Kearney's unsuccessful applications to appeal. These items did not become actual court exhibits during Roger Kearney's trial and were not used as part of the criminal proceedings or the evidence that led to his conviction of Paula's murder. The Exhibits and Disclosure Officer in this case disposed of the exhibits because they had either been forensically tested to the point of destruction, were deemed a health hazard, or had not become actual court exhibits, and because Roger Kearney had exhausted all legal avenues to appeal his conviction. These exhibits were available to the court at the time of Roger Kearney's trial, but were not used. Their subsequent destruction has no bearing on the investigation into Paula's murder or Roger Kearney's conviction in 2010. As a force, we constantly seek to ensure we uphold best practice, and although we don't believe the destruction of these exhibits has had a detrimental effect on this case, we do acknowledge that the senior investigating officer was not consulted before their destruction. We have reviewed our management of forensic exhibits and changed the policy and working practices to make sure the retention and destruction of forensic exhibits is appropriately managed. Over 500 people in the UK are convicted of murder every year, but less than 1% of cases are ever overturned. Paula's parents are deeply unhappy about the documentary. Her father, Phil Cross, who's now 81, told the Daily Echo, Paula should be allowed to rest in peace, and we should be allowed to grieve in peace. We have already been through all the pain of Paula's death and Kearney's trial. He thought he committed the perfect murder, but there's no doubt in our minds that he killed her. The 12 jurors all agreed he was guilty, and everyone I spoke to afterwards said it was the right verdict. I can't see how a TV company could come up with something that the police couldn't find during a major investigation. As we conclude this episode, we reflect on the tragic loss of Paula Poolton, whose life was brutally taken away. The horror of her final moments is unimaginable, especially if she was staring into the eyes of her lover, assuming Roger is indeed the perpetrator. What do you think? Is Roger innocent, or is there another man Paula was involved with? If so, surely there would be some evidence, like text messages, to support that theory. Watching the Inside Justice documentary, Murder at the Station, and all the subsequent research I have done, I do feel that Roger is guilty of Paula's murder. As of January 2025, time of recording, Roger remains incarcerated in Winchester Prison. Because Roger maintains his innocence, he remains ineligible for parole and has already lost an appeal. Our hearts go out to all the family members that have been affected by this tragedy. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the dark secrets of Murder at the Station. If you found this episode compelling, make sure to follow Jane Doe's Dark Secrets for more true crime stories that uncover the hidden truths behind some of the world's most chilling cases. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at the Jane Doe PCast for updates and behind the scene content. You can also share your thoughts on today's episode. or head over to YouTube at Jane Doe's Dark Secrets for visuals alongside the podcast. Let me know in the comments what other dark secrets you'd like me to uncover in future episodes. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe. This is Jane signing off.